I am a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We're often called Mormons, usually in the context of people telling us how weird we are. And I think the right answer to that is just to say yes. I actually like my own religion. Yes, even that part. I mean, I didn't join this church so I could do things the normal and worldly way. And I didn't join this church so I could go to rock concert mega Bible church either. That has nothing to say other than how much Jesus wants to give me a hug and what he'll do to me if I don't hug him back. I joined this church on the promise that God is still talking, that he is still revealing new and glorious things, great treasures of knowledge and of endless progress. This is not a small religion for small people. But for some reason, a lot of us want to try and make it that way, rejecting the promise of light and truth and knowledge of all things to just telling us, yet again, that Jesus still likes you when you're sad. Okay, story time. The other day, I volunteered to clean my local temple after hours, and in the basement, out of public view, were just the coolest paintings. Paintings of the First Vision, paintings of scenes from the Book of Mormon, paintings of famous men from our past and from the heritage of this region, and I can't tell you how much fun I had seeing all this art for the first time, but it also made me a little bit sad. Because once you get into the main temple where everything's in public view, all the art is just the same pictures of Jesus you've seen a million times before. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing by itself, but a lot of this overemphasis on Jesus is this therapy Jesus stuff. I mean, it's every song in the new hymn book, it's every piece of art in Deseret Book, every general conference talk. And while I have some theological problems with this kind of stuff, I think it's wrong about Jesus' mode of healing and might actually be making the problem worse. For the time being, I just want to talk about how everything else in the gospel is getting shoved aside. This is removing everything unique about our religion and replacing it with the exact same experience you could get at that generic Bible church I mentioned earlier, except without all the emotional bells and whistles. And while this kind of stuff is appealing to a certain type of person, it's repellent to everyone else, which might explain why we're having trouble with retention, getting guys to go on missions, getting anything to happen in Elders Quorum. There's just not a lot of depth to this kind of a religion, a lot less depth than you think you would find in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Now, I'm going to make a bold statement here to say it's not just therapy Jesus is the problem, it's the overemphasis on Jesus generally. He's actually not the most important thing about our religion. Yes, Jesus Christ and his atonement are the most important parts of God's plan of salvation, and it's absolutely important that we follow his example, but both his ministry and his atonement were part of God's plan. They're means to an end that is for our benefit. And by taking God and his work out of the center of focus, we're ignoring most of the great things about his plan and mostly just treading the same shallows over and over again. But it gets worse. This church is not generic Jesus loves me Christianity, and it never has been. And in order to make this impression work, the church comes across as afraid of itself. It claims to be the one true church, but acts embarrassed of its unique doctrines, hides from its own history. And if that causes you to doubt, well, I wouldn't blame you. In fact, as I understand it, this is a pretty common ex-Mormon critique of the church, that they were taught some sort of safe, sanitized version of the religion as a child and eventually found out that what they were taught was a misrepresentation at best and simply untrue at worst. Now, I'm not going to leave the church over this, because I think this kind of stuff is a bug rather than a feature of the religion, motivated by deep embarrassment and a strong desire to be normal during the mass media era of the late 20th century, when there were only 3 channels on the television and therefore everybody had to be the same. And maybe they're portraying this religion as safe and harmless in their public communications to avoid becoming the target of lawfare. I don't know. But either way, I'm not going to live this way. I'm not going to hide all the best parts of this religion down in my basement where no one can see it. Instead, I'm going to live the truth, the whole truth, all of it, and strive for the blessings therein, and I invite you to do the same. This has been Saint Explainer. I hope you have a beautiful week. I'll see you guys next time.